Faces of Breast Cancer, brought to you by Oregon Medical Group Cedar Clinics, Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, and Dr. Lee B. Daniel.
Wow! You're so good. We knew that you would be. You're so great. We knew that you would be. Live good, feel great. We've got you. Live good, feel great. We've got you. Wow!
I believe in meeting people where they are.
I believe in having an open mind.
And I really believe in teamwork between doctor and patient.
I believe in research because that's the only way we're going to advance cancer care.
I truly believe that what I've gone through was for a reason and that I'm supposed to help other people.
At Willamette Valley Cancer Institute, we believe in the fight. So does Stacy. Follow her story at BelieveInstitute.com. When you believe, there is no limit to what is possible.
Sometimes it's not about what you lose, it's what you gain. Gain back your confidence and say goodbye to stubborn fat. Introducing Cool Sculpting, clinically proven and FDA-cleared non-surgical treatment that says goodbye to love handles and muffin tops. Cool Sculpting takes very little time and very easy to fit into your daily life. No needles, no surgery, no downtime. Simple, easy, safe.
Get your confidence back. Call the Spa Side at Aesthetic Plastic Surgery to schedule your consultation today and get a better you.
The following program is brought to you commercial-free by Oregon Medical Group Cedar Clinics, Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, and Dr. Lee B. Daniel.
Now what? Like, how am I supposed to live my life? It's like that fear of reoccurrence, that fear of just moving on, and that lovely saying, the new normal.
I have always been very scared to get breast cancer. Now I feel like if it does happen, I can be strong.
I have a huge group of family and friends that pray for me every day.
Hello, I'm Kelli Warner. There is a battle being waged in our local communities right now, an all-out fight to wipe out breast cancer for good, and it can't happen soon enough. By the end of this week, 51 women in Oregon will find out they have the disease.
I'm Nohelani Graf. In the next 30 minutes, we will share the stories of survivors. They are the faces of breast cancer. Their diagnosis defines the disease, but the cancer does not define them.
I'm Renee McCullough. Here in Oregon, we have one of the highest rates of breast cancer in the country, and that's why Komen, Oregon is hard at work to get life-saving screenings and services to women in our community who need them. And it's all possible with money raised through Eugene's Race for the Cure.
For thousands of people, like Stephanie Sanders, the Race for the Cure is personal. She's a mother, she's a wife, and she's a breast cancer survivor. She's been through a lot. And as she shared with NewsSource 16's Angela Brower, her battle is not over yet.
Stephanie is trying to make it to 2 years in remission. After 2 years, the chances of her cancer returning are considerably lower. Looking back, Stephanie says while the fight to survive was obviously a difficult one, she says she's glad that she did it early in life, and she's glad that she didn't do it alone. This is Stephanie Sanders today.
I love you.
At this time last year, Stephanie Sanders was living a very different life, a very unsure life as she faced cancer for the very first time.
I found a lump when I was breastfeeding, so we met with the radiologist who said, there's no way this isn't cancer.
In a fight to kill the cancer, Stephanie got a double mastectomy, underwent numerous surgeries, radiation, and chemotherapy, some of which you got to see air on NewsSource 16.
I had no family history, I breastfed, I used organic deodorant, whatever. You know, you just don't think it's gonna be you.
Stage 2, triple negative breast cancer. The odds were not in her favor.
With triple negative breast cancer and my age and my stage, about 1 in 3 women will have already died at 5 years. So most of them have it come back in the first 6 months to 2 years post-diagnosis. Are you going to get a plum? It's difficult, but it's also really, really good to look at death and face that and say, do I like who I am? Are there things about me that I want to change? And I'm not going to wait around.
Stephanie is no longer waiting around to do anything. She's active, trying to make a mark, a legacy of herself.
My husband's, well, he's had to go through the fire of in sickness and in health.
You see, Stephanie's diagnosis isn't just a story of survival. It's a story of the success in love and marriage through trials, tribulations, the worst of the worst. Their marriage now stronger than ever.
It's been tried, it's been in the fire, but it also can be just really fun to see your spouse pressed to the limit and still come through a better person.
Being a better person is exactly what Stephanie wants for herself, too.
Maybe a bite.
No matter what limits she's given, it's a life lesson that Stephanie is trying to prove. Even with 4 kids and stage 2 cancer, there is hope, happiness, and healing at the end of everything.
It's the hope with every generation it will get better, that screening will be better, that the diagnosis and all the things that they have available to treat will be better. So mostly I just think about making it.
Stephanie has had 2 scares since her treatment, but all of those tests came back negative. December 2013 will mark 2 years since she was diagnosed. I'm Angela Brower, NewsSource 16.
Stephanie is just one of thousands in Oregon alone waging war on her illness. The reality is 11 women will lose their battle with breast cancer this week. But here's the good news. Breast cancer mortality rates are down and 5-year survival rates are up. And it's because of the hard work of organizations like Komen, Oregon, and people like you working hard to support them.
Sure, some women are at higher risk of getting breast cancer, but really, this disease doesn't discriminate. It doesn't see color or social standing. But earlier this year, it did suddenly get political, weakening the power of the pink movement. And now the leader of Komen, Oregon is out rallying racers to remind them of the ultimate goal of finding and funding a cure.
At Race for the Cure, there are sights,
there are tears, there's hugs,
and sounds,
there's laughter
that tug at your heartstrings.
Yeah! It's fun. Thank you very much.
But the cheers for Komen were quickly silenced in January, and supporters immediately pulled away after the fight against breast cancer suddenly found itself at the center of a political fight. The National Foundation temporarily pulled funding from Planned Parenthood after pro-life politicians filed a federal investigation. That move had pink supporters seeing red.
I was among the people that were angry and outraged, and I was angry at Komen.
At the time, Thomas Bruner was one of those critics.
Perceived to be the politicization of our work, and it made me mad.
He didn't work for Komen then. It was months later that he took the job as CEO for the Oregon Southwest Washington chapters. His job quickly became mending fences and reminding people about the reason behind the ribbon.
There are many more women who are harboring tumors as we speak that are undetected, and they don't know they have them. And that's why we do Race for the Cure.
A lesson he learned in his own home as a teenager when his mother was diagnosed.
At the end of the day, this affects everybody in a family. Financially, practically, spiritually, emotionally. So you bet I have a connection.
Bruner wants it known that Komen, Oregon is its own nonprofit under the umbrella of the Komen name. It immediately denounced the move to pull Planned Parenthood grants, even though that organization has never even asked for funding in Oregon.
So we're not sending money to pay the national organization's bills. We're pooling our money and having a bigger impact in breast cancer research.
Still, the crowds at Seattle's race thinned by 40%. The problem, punishing the local chapter hurt local people.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer a year ago, July.
Tracy Strimling is one of the faces of breast cancer. Her diagnosis moved her to become one of the top local fundraisers in our area, making sure that the 30,000 low-income and uninsured women in Oregon who will be diagnosed this year have the same chance she did to fight this disease.
I know that it's been a tough year for them politically. But when you're given the diagnosis of breast cancer, you don't really care about the politics. If you need help, if you need funds, if you can't get a mammogram without that help, then it doesn't really matter. They offer an important service.
And that's the message. It's okay to be mad, but it's about more than money. Don't walk away from the women and families who need help. Walk together to find a cure.
They need us more now than ever, and that's why we need people to stand up with us.
75% of the money raised at Eugene's Race for the Cure stays in Oregon to help low-income women get breast cancer screenings and treatment. 25% is invested in cancer research, some of which is happening here in Oregon. Komen recently gave a $450,000 research grant to Providence Cancer Center as well as Oregon Health and Science University.
Since Komen, Oregon started its work 20 years ago, breast cancer deaths have dropped by more than 30%. The key to that is early detection. You can't find cancer unless you look for it. And the sooner you find it, the greater your chances of beating it. That's a message Dr. Kathy McCullough can't stress enough to women these days. She's a radiologist at Oregon Imaging in Springfield, and she says regular mammograms starting at the age of 40 are so important.
I get mine every year. I mean, you know, I see this is the life that I live. I see it every day. And I see people who put it off, who don't come in for 3 or 4 years, and they come in with cancers that I would have seen years before if they'd come in to be screened.
Dr. McCullough says you can reduce your risk by knowing your risk. Find out if you have a family history of breast cancer. If you do, you may need to be screened earlier than age 40. Ask your doctor which tests are right for you. Now, once you're 40, schedule a mammogram and have one every year. And you have to know what's normal for you. Do a self-breast exam every month so you'll be able to tell if something changes.
A Cottage Grove woman says she's alive today because of self-exams. That's how she found a lump 2.5 years ago. She fought it, and everything was going well until this past May. Now she's found herself in a whole different fight.
I guess being a science teacher, none of this creeps me out, but you can feel the tube going up, you know, into your neck.
Christine Buxton is undergoing chemotherapy again. 2 years after her first diagnosis, this is not where she expected to be.
You do kind of start moving on with your life and you think, oh, I'm good, but then you still check.
And that's how this high school teacher found cancer a second time. A week later, she was in surgery having her breast removed. And in that week, her cancer had doubled in size.
That's how scary this stuff was.
That's why, despite the anxiety she sometimes feels about the cancer coming back, Christine was more than willing to share the latest chapter in her story with us.
Let's see if it's working.
Each chemotherapy session takes about 3 hours. Christine passes the time with the help of her iPad.
So I built a city. There's my city.
But there's also plenty of time for her to think about what she's going through. Christine admits that every once in a while, she can't help but think, was it something she did that brought the cancer back? Could she have done more to prevent it? She'll never know for sure, but one thing she does know, and wants every other woman to hear, is that regular self-exams and regular screenings caught it early and saved her.
The funniest response I ever hear is, oh, I don't want to find out I have cancer. And the thing is, it's, you know, the mammogram doesn't prevent the cancer, but it sure gets it early enough where I'm still here.
Because Christine is still undergoing treatment and has to be careful not to get sick, she is missing the beginning of the new school year with her students. But just as this teacher looks for lessons to share in the classroom, she's learned a few things from the cancer too.
I smile, I think, more now than I used to, and I am conscious about making sure I am kind to people because life is too short. I want to know that I have treated people with kindness all the time and try to be happy.
Christine is just finishing up her last chemo treatment, and she hopes to take part in the Eugene Race for the Cure. And if all goes well, Christine will be back in the classroom teaching her high school students by the end of the month.
Christine found both her cancers through self-exams, and she got a monthly reminder from our 16 Checks In program. And it's easy for you to get those reminders too. Just log on to KMTR.com, click on the 16 Checks In tab. Once you do that, simply scroll down and sign up. It's free to join. Just fill out the registration form with your name and email address, and that's it. And then on the 16th of every month, we'll shoot you a reminder to do your self-breast exam. It doesn't get much simpler than that, and it could save your life. It saved Christine's.
One of the team captains at this year's race knows far too well just how devastating breast cancer can be. She lost her mom when she was just 12 years old, and that was 8 years ago. When you look at the pictures, Brooklyn Brussey looks like any other teenager. Graduation, school dances. But look closer, and you'll notice one thing is missing. Her mom.
I mean, I remember like my 16th birthday, my 18th birthday, my graduation. One thing I always think about is my wedding. I think that will be very hard.
Gina Kosmas was just 34 when she lost her battle with breast cancer.
As a kid and not knowing the truth, I think that was the hardest part, because 6 months went by and she was fine, but then it came back and a couple months later she died, and I had no idea it was even bad.
She died 11 months after she was diagnosed. She left behind a new husband and 3 children.
I have always been very scared to get breast cancer.
Breast cancer runs rampant in Brooklyn's family. Her mom's 3 aunts were all diagnosed with the disease. Doctors were shocked to find out her mom didn't have the breast cancer gene. Wanting to know her odds, Brooklyn went in to find out about genetic testing.
The doctor goes, "Hi Brooklyn, I met your mom when she had cancer," and I started bawling. And it's not very often that I meet people aside from family that have actually met my mom or knew her or know what she went through.
Since the testing is so expensive, she won't do it. Instead, her grandpa on her mom's side will get it done in hopes of ruling out whether her cousins and aunts have the gene. She will start getting mammograms when she's 24.
They'll do it 10 years earlier than my mom died.
Brooklyn knows the dangers.
I've always considered having a double mastectomy and reconstructive surgery.
But she says she's also optimistic.
When I started working at Komen, I think one of the best things they push is that early detection is the best protection. So the survival rates right now for stage 1 breast cancer is 99%. And to me, that's crazy. We've never been able to say that before. And I'm not scared anymore.
And that's why she helped form Gina's Believas.
So my mom's name was Gina Kosmas, and she always said everything happens for a reason, just believe.
Not only is Brooklyn's team one of the largest, she's also one of the top fundraisers.
It's very emotional. It always has been, but I think you get there and you see the sea of pink, and I've said before, there's nothing like it.
After much internal debate, she got a tattoo, the words, "I love you," in her mom's handwriting.
I mean, every time I think about it, I almost get emotional, and I just think it's so cool to, I mean, she's been gone 8 years as of July, and I still, I was able to get her handwriting on my back.
But one thing has stayed the same, her hope to spread the message about what Komen and the community can do if we just work together.
It's not only for the people who have already been affected by it, but it's for us and our kids and their kids and our friends and sisters and all the people who are going to be affected by it in the future.
25 cents of every dollar raised by Komen Oregon goes specifically to developing new therapies that can slow down breast cancer or knock it out altogether. And researchers are now paving the way for more personalized care through clinical trials. Tuli Cable is a breast cancer survivor. She admits she's gotten complacent about getting regular mammograms. Then she found a lump herself. Fortunately, the cancer was in its early stages. Tuli was part of a radiation study at the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center in Eugene. She says she's more than happy to be part of a study that will create better treatment for other women, since it was clinical trials that helped create the treatment she's received.
In the past, when you had a small tumor like this, they just take everything, muscle, lymph nodes, just take everything. And so this regimen gives a woman a chance to keep intact, and which I am. I have a small scar, and to have this as much chance as a woman who had the total radical mastectomy, gives her the same chance of not having a recurrence.
Doctors at WVCI are currently involved in about a half dozen breast cancer research studies locally, and many are showing promise, including one involving Herceptin, which Tuli is receiving. Herceptin is an antibody that's been engineered to help the body fight off breast cancer.
It goes after a target called HER2, which is one of these key drivers in breast cancer. And by treating the cancer with an antibody, it recruits the whole immune system to fight off the cancer.
Several of these studies have led to drugs that have been FDA approved or soon will be to go after HER2.
When it comes to fighting cancer, the more eyes, the better. That's the thinking behind a group of Lane County physicians that meets several times a week. They call themselves the Breast Cancer Tumor Board, and they meet specifically to present the cases of local women and to get input on the best course of treatment for those patients. With so much expertise in one room, a physician can present a case and within 10 to 12 minutes create a treatment plan that they can then share with their patient.
They are getting the input that's necessary for them to make very difficult decisions. It's a very scary time, and the shock, you know, and to be able to have your case looked at quickly by a lot of different care providers with a host of different experiences, that you are able to be kind of cared for comprehensively right from the very get-go.
A woman can choose to have her case presented at the tumor board free of charge. Then, with that information, she can make the best decisions about her treatment without having to visit all those doctors individually.
When you receive a cancer diagnosis, there is suddenly so much to think about. First, the medical road. Will you need surgery, radiation, chemo? Then there's finances, family, the future. NewsSource 16's Megan Higgins explains that's why more clinics in Oregon now have patient navigators on staff.
A patient navigator is a person who can help you prepare for what's around the next bend in this unexpected journey. And the newest patient navigator here at the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute means it when she says, "I know what you're going through."
Good morning, patient navigator. This is Katie.
Katie Burke is excited about her new job. It's a job she wouldn't have imagined 4 years ago, but then cancer changed her life.
I found a lump myself.
Katie was just 23 years old when she felt something wasn't quite right and went to the doctor.
So I went and had an ultrasound because he said that with my age we'd have to fight for a mammogram. So we did an ultrasound, and the radiologist told me that it looks like a fibroadenoma, which is just a benign tumor.
But it wasn't benign. It was cancer.
And the radiologist, in his exact words, he said, you have no family history and you're 23, so let's watch it. And good thing I didn't, because it was pretty aggressive.
Doctors told Katie there was a 95% chance the cancer could come back, so she made a big decision. She chose to have a double mastectomy. Since then, Katie's become a certified medical assistant and now a patient navigator.
You have it cut and then...
And just last year, she helped start a support group for young women where voices could be heard, information shared, and inspiration found. But cancer and the way it has changed Katie's own life is always in the back of her mind.
I call this as my midlife crisis, which everyone's like, you're only 27. I go, yeah, but I had a cancer diagnosis, it's different because everything's in the forefront.
That propelled Katie to do even more to help others dealing with cancer. She's been there. She knows the fear and the anxiety.
I know what they're going through. I know that you won't probably sleep the night of your first chemo because you have no idea what the process is going to be. I know that just the unknown is what gets you.
As a patient navigator, it's Katie's job to help patients with all the issues they didn't realize cancer would create.
Besides a cancer diagnosis, you have all these bills and you have all this financial burden. And if I can help somebody with those little things so they can focus more on just their treatment and fighting and getting through that aspect, it's huge, really huge.
Katie can't predict the future, but one thing she does know for sure, she hopes to share with every patient she encounters.
That there is hope out there, that there is help for all aspects of it, and that you're not alone.
Katie's Young Women's Group is still going strong. It started with about 10 women in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, and now there are about 30 women involved. I'm Megan Higgins, NewsSource 16.
For so many years, doctors were focused mainly on just treating the cancer. But in the last 20 years or so, physicians have begun to realize the need for programs to help survivors deal with the issues after treatment is over. Physical issues, psychological issues, emotional issues. Katie Burke, who you just heard from, recently graduated from a newly created survivorship series offered at Willamette Valley Cancer Institute. She and about 20 other cancer survivors took part in 8 specially designed sessions that provided them with helpful information and support to move forward through the rest of their life. Dr. Deborah Daughters, a 4-year breast cancer survivor herself, helped create this survivorship program.
I remember thinking, what's the matter with me? I'm supposed to be so happy. I finished my treatment. This is the best part of my life, but I was like really down. And once I realized that's normal, then it's like, okay, I can deal with this. That's a normal part of this. And so a lot of what we do is education about what's normal, so that people don't have the expectation that they're supposed to be like 100% the day after their treatment's over, because that's not realistic.
Topics covered in the survivorship series include the benefits of eating right and exercising, looking forward to the future, and everything in between.
Staying positive and upbeat while you're fighting cancer is not easy, but it's a very important part of the battle. You've heard it said, attitude is everything. So how do you find confidence and inspiration in the face of fear and the unknown? As NewsSource 16's Hannah Olsen shows us, all you have to do is believe.
The Willamette Valley Cancer Institute has a new experience for patients. The Believe Institute is a campaign designed to inspire. Patients, their caregivers, and staff here have all adopted the Believe theme in their own battles.
WVCI created the Believe campaign as an extension of services within the walls of the Institute and on the web. Everywhere you turn, reminders to stay positive and believe. John Polk is a patient whose life changed last year with a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. John embraced the Believe theme and started making wooden pins to thank the nurses caring for him. He says the diagnosis forced him to evaluate what's most important and what believing means.
So it really resonated with me that I was coming to a place to be healed that embraced this idea. Was it the same way I thought of it? I wasn't sure, but it is.
John's wife, Mary, has a new full-time job, taking care of her husband's medications and feeding tubes. She's learning to believe, too, in John, his doctors, and in herself.
The things that used to stop me before don't seem like that big of a deal. It really does put things into perspective.
The Believe theme means something a little different to everyone. Whether you see it, wear it, or just feel it, it's an important tool in the cancer fight. I'm Hannah Olsen, NewsSource 16.
And some local doctors are lifting the spirits of their patients by helping take their minds off the cancer that they're fighting. Don Gunderson is a cancer survivor. As a small gift from his physician, he was able to attend the Oregon-Arizona game at Autzen. Through the Tickets for Joy program, the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute Foundation is able to hand out tickets to sporting events, concerts, and shows to cancer patients and their caregivers. They were even able to send a patient to the Rose Bowl this past January. The Tickets for Joy program was the idea of Dr. Andy Monticelli's wife, and it started several years ago when they were able to give a pair of duck football tickets to a man with colon cancer.
The following day, he texted my wife and he said, if I die tomorrow, I'm going to die a happy man, because the smiles on my wife's face at this game. And so at that time, we thought this made such a positive impact in this guy's life that we'd like to expand this somehow.
The foundation gladly accepts ticket donations. If you have tickets to a game or entertainment event that you're not able to use, you can contact the foundation at the number on your screen, 541-683-5001. They will make sure those tickets get in the hands of a cancer patient who would really enjoy them.
This all leads up to Eugene Race for the Cure. This year's event is Sunday, October 21st. It begins and ends at Autzen Stadium.
It's a chance for the community to stand together and fight together with the hope that the days in which breast cancer changes lives and takes lives are numbered.
You'll find more information on KMTR.com by clicking the Get It button. Every woman who shared her story with us here in this last half hour is alive today because of self-exams or mammograms.
We can't stress it enough. Early detection is your best protection.
So take this opportunity to empower yourself. Take a stand.
Faces of Breast Cancer was brought to you commercial-free by Oregon Medical Group Cedar Clinics, Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center, and Dr. Lee B. Daniel.